So how do I get from this to painting these? And it's really, really fun when you have the foundation and your values and your colors and your techniques that will cut through a lot of analytical detail that will give you more of an improvisational detail. By that I mean almost abstract in the sense where I demonstrated this little clump of grass over here just by stretching a stylus in and out of the zone. This works really nice because it has a longer play on there and blunt, and I can carve with it too. Look at that. It's really cool. No effort. Down and up at the same time. I put the color down and I lift off the highlights at the same time. It's fun. That's all. And you can make all sorts of different. Now, what's interesting here is very, very neat because it's wet up here, and this is really fascinating. But it's dry down here. Okay? It's dry. Now this technique can drift into dry brush technique or dry knife technique. I can take a stylus. This is just an old pin. Well, it has white on the end. It doesn't matter. I'll take another color. Now, I haven't done any of my warms up here. Let me take some ochre, yellow ochre, do a line. Just pick it up. Right on the end of it there. And just smudge it in there. And because it's wet, you just put it down. Now, if I want to drift into the dry area, this is a completely different ballgame here with the dry. I could take another color or another swatch of the same. What I can do as I'm working down into the drier areas is I can combine those two colors just by smushing them around. And what I find really fascinating sometimes, especially when I want to interject two colors now, and how do I blend them? I'll show you. I'll have a yellow, and I'll have a little bit of chrome green. I'll put it right kind of on top of it. There's just one on top of the other. Just put down with a knife, wet. They're kind of in a no man's land between wet and dry. You know, kind of like a swamp. I can take a knitting needle or anything like that. And I've actually fashioned a few ends, but this is what goes on. And I can combine those two colors. And this is how you can draw grasses and it doesn't feel like molasses. Oh yeah, So you put a bunch of color. Application is everything, loading, all that. When you get a bunch of color down, let's say I get a big swatch green right over there, if you know what I mean, and then I take some yellow and I just put it on top like I just did. And then I just smush it around with a stylus, like I'm sketching it. See it there? It went real impossible. I got some real thick paint right there. in a flash, and I have lots of blending. I can scoop up where it's thick and put it down where it's thin. So I can move my palette on to the canvas. The thicker it gets, the more I can just move stuff around, and I don't have to go back and forth. Because it's all going to be, oh, I'll take a little bit off of this. Oh, maybe I could use some of it back there, see? And I just did. I just put a green swatch back there. But I took that green swatch from the foreground. There's a lot of green down there. I'll put a little back here and put a little way back there, and it blends in because there's a lot of light back there. There's a lot of wet light back here. That's what makes Alla-Prima fun, is you can, it's forgiving. I love that. Like certain religious practices, you know? You practice forgiveness, and oil paintings, well, they're very forgiving. I love them. And you're going to always mess them up, and you can just kind of rework them, you know? You can't do that sometimes, especially in, you know, relationships and stuff. You know, they're done. And in a lot of paintings, sometimes when they're dry, but if you're moving fast enough, I'm just doing a little grassland there in front. I don't know, I'm just moving. Now I'm going to do the sky in a second. Yeah, we have time. Okay, so that's my foreground. A few little tricks, and then with this, remember, as I move front and center, I can put some grasses way out there in the front like that, and get my perspective a little bit. So what you see, that's a sketch technique for grass. I'm doing it with some slick paint and whatever. Look, I can do it with a knife. I'll scrape it off, and I love the noise. You can peel it down, get nice blurry effects like that. It's fun and it's fast. Now this green spot back here, whoa. We can put a green hill back there. Maybe by pushing it up into the fog, or, oh, there you go now. No, here you go. What I did back there was I just put some trees in back there, pushing that green up into the soft white of the sky there. I was going to get poetic, but I didn't know what to say. Well, I did, but I would have had to censor it probably. So there's some nice fuzzy green stuff back there. Now what I want to do is to separate the green from the foreground. I'm going to put a little bit of blue back there, and then I have I'll push it back a little bit. And these are just really, really fast strokes, as you can see. And this is wet, foreground's dry. If I did that up there, I'd ruin it. Now, clouds, same thing, liquid white on top. We're going, when I go to clouds, I want to do this. I want to go from this to that. I want to see that. I want to see what's inside. I want to see the light popping through. Now these clouds up here in this award-winning painting go like this. I have a medium gray field back here, and I have thick white paint and a clean palette knife, and I take that thick white paint and I do my smudge, and I get it on there, and I go like this. There's your cloud. Look at that. One pop, there's your cloud. I still have a little bit on there now. This degrades in its brightness as you apply it. So you have to constantly, because you're picking up dark. It's just like we were doing in my demonstration down here in the grass. You're going to pick up light and you're going to put down dark. And it's the same with this, only it's different. You're going to put down the light, and as your palette knife slides around that gray, you're going to degrade. It's all right. So there's my soft. Light over dark. Well, light over light, not as light. This is dark. I want to get into the vernacular. This is not light. This is light over kind of light, or not as light. And that's how you meter up in your skies. And I'll do a demonstration on water, especially moving water. You know, moving water is a lot more fun than still water sometimes, if you know what I mean. It's drama, and I want drama in my paintings, not so much in my life. Particle wave, E equals MC. Let's get squared onto this one here. We got a wet canvas, I'll keep going.